again, where they hired all these advisors, had all these clients, and then realized that a lot of these clients weren't actually active and couldn't make it work, and so they needed less. They wanted to basically cut the areas and put advisors in, and then realize, let's make the areas bigger and have one advisor cover bigger patches. And so again, last in, first out, so got made redundant again for the third time. The only problem with the third time was that I just had my fourth child. So I literally had my fourth child, went on paternity leave for 2 weeks, came back, and the week I came back, they let me go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Matt Brown, and you're listening to the Every L Podcast. Each episode, we'll have a different guest come on and talk about when life hands you an L, is it really a loss or is it something else? Because not every L is a loss. So sit back, relax, or do whatever you guys do to get comfortable as we get into this. Let's go. Hello and welcome everyone to the latest episode of Every L Podcast. This is where we just talk about where every L is not a loss. There are certain things we go through and it's not a good cop and L, but ultimately there's things we gain from those experiences. I'm actually gassed today, as per usual, to have my next guest on here, and I think a lot of my audience will be as well. This gentleman is someone that you've seen on your socials, someone that you've seen on your TV sets. And when I say TV, I'm not talking about like streaming things that I'm an old man. I'm talking about terrestrial TV. You'll see him on the BBC. You'll see him in other places. And he's all about talking about your money and how to make it work. But he don't talk about in a typical financial advisor sort of way. He brings it down to the ground. He keeps it real and he tells you about yourself. Because if you're thinking about copping a PS5 and you're still living at home with your mums and you're in your 30s plus 40s, you might want a reconsideration of your life decisions at this point. So without further ado, I am going to introduce my next guest, Emmanuel.
Yo, people, good to be here. AKA Uncle Eman is back. We're here. Emmanuel Asuquo, People's Financial Advisor. And yeah, man, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, man.
No, much appreciated. So, yeah, so just tell people a little bit about what you do. Yes, you're a People Financial Advisor. What does that look like? What does that mean?
Yeah, so basically, I'm a financial advisor, actually qualified. No disrespect to everyone else that's a financial advisor online. But yeah, a lot of people that are online are giving financial advice, but not necessarily qualified. I'm a qualified financial advice, have been for over 15 years. I got tired of helping just rich people get richer, so I decided to go on social media and break down finances in a more relatable way. And it's worked for me, and through that I've been able to do TV and loads of different stuff. So yeah, my day-to-day is just doing what I love and getting paid for it.
Really good to hear, because ultimately some people can sort of have the accolades, have the qualification, just want to keep doing what they've always done because that's all they know. And what a lot of people may not know on this podcast is the fact I've been in finances for just shy of 16 years, and I've worked with various wealthy clients and stuff like that. And yeah, it's all well and good teaching them, but what about your people then? What about the people that you interact with on a daily that don't understand finances and how it works and how it can benefit them, how they can use certain vehicles to help them get from where they are to achieve their goals and aspirations? So, I guess as well, so sort of like removing the stigma from all the superstition. They say, "Oh, don't do this and don't do that." It's like, but come on now, if you're not saving money for this, but you're spending money on that don't make no sense. And you're talking about generational wealth, but yet you're buying all these jewelries and something like that. Yeah, you ain't got that in the bank account. Just, yeah.
Exactly that. And I think the problem is that, especially in the UK, we don't talk about money. Money's almost a taboo. I always tell people, like, when I do shows, to get participants sometimes can be so difficult to get participants. But there's a show on Channel 4, and I do a lot of stuff on Channel 4 called Naked Attraction,
Yeah.
where people are literally naked on the television. It's been going for like, I can't even, unknown seasons, bare seasons. They do not struggle. I remember each episode is 6 guys and 6 women, and yet they got episode after episode after episode. People are more comfortable being naked on television than they are showing that that they're in financial difficulties or they have financial issues. And so what this is about making money relatable, talking about money. One of the big things I find is that, especially as a black community, we are underpaid. Why? Because we don't communicate. Because you will make a salary and you're not going to let other people know what you're on because you do feel like you're being judged. But then you don't realize, because you're not having those conversations, you're actually getting paid. You're underpaid, but you're doing the same. You're sitting next to somebody else doing the same job, and they're getting paid 10, 15K more than you because they asked the question, or because they've got a family member who knows how much you should get paid for the job and they answer that. And because we don't have these conversations, we're getting less, and we're already at a disadvantage as it is. So for me, it's about having these conversations, but making them relatable, adding a little banter, a little entertainment, a little smile while we do it, but make sure we are talking money, finance, wealth.
No, I feel you on that. And just for the listeners that don't know anything about Naked Attraction, I'll tell you a quick little story. I stumbled across Naked Attraction when I was just finishing watching Netflix, as you do, and it goes from streaming services to terrestrial TV. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing this screen pull up and stop just above the genitals of the ladies, and this woman host, the female host, sorry, escorted the person that was looking or examining the various people and just showing them their private area and was saying, "Oh, does that look nice to you?" Does that? And I'm thinking, what manner of foolishness is this? If my wife come downstairs right now,
Yeah.
I am gonna have a very awkward conversation. And then
Yes.
they next time they pull it up a bit further, and then they show the chest area, and I'm talking about if you've got breasts, showing breasts. If you're a guy, then it shows your pecs. Then it goes up next to your face. Now I'm thinking, this is foolishness. Imagine you're a manager of a team of people.
Hmm.
You are watching this show.
Mm.
You've seen the bottom part of the person, you've seen the middle part of the person, and the last part you see is their face and go, "Oh, crap, I manage them. I can't deal with this no more." Like, that is traumatizing. That is
Yeah.
traumatizing. But then people are willing to go on them shows, expose off their body, but you ask them, "Yo, how much you get paid for that?" Huh? What? What? I don't understand the question. Like, why? Why? So you shy about your money, but you're happy to expose everything that is you for the whole world to see, and then tell me you want to be a nurse. And it's like, yeah, that's no longer an option for you because you just done this. Come on now, people. Come on now. But yeah, people, if you want to watch Naked Attraction, that's your business. No one's judging you. But if you're willing to, ex, you know, ex, experience people exposing themselves like that, challenge them and challenge yourself. Why would you not want to expose your financial affairs so that you can help better not just yourself, but those around you, those that you care about? Because something I experienced when I was back in the financial industry is that the people that were affluent, they would have conversations with their children, their family about money. I know there's times where I'll have a parent that will say, "Yo, I ain't gonna talk to my child about money because it's a big people sign." And then when the person is considered big or of age, and then they say, "Oh, why ain't you got no money?" Well, if you ain't taught them about money, whatever your relationship is, good, bad, or otherwise, if you're not giving them any sense of experience to go off, they're gonna create their own experiences, and you can then not criticize them.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things, and you can probably tell money is really a passionate thing for me.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it's important. It's important. It's important to have these conversations, and it's important that we start to talk about money and stop hiding. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not something to be embarrassed about. If you feel like you're not earning enough, go and make more. Go and find other ways to make more. It's not something that, like, and I think again we are stuck on this. Oh, I go get a job. I can only earn so much because they'll only pay me so much. But yeah, but that's because your only source of income is what somebody will pay you.
Yeah,
But actually, you have skills. You have time to do other things and add value to others to create other streams of income. And I think, like I always say, like there's 365 days in a year. Why do you only get paid on 12 of them?
yeah,
It's like if you scored 12 out of 365 on a test, you would never say that you did well. Like, so why do we allow this when it comes to how many times you can get paid every single day of the week? And remember, we got different time zones. So you could be getting paid in Australia, and then by the time that people wake up, you're getting paid in New York, getting paid in LA, you're getting paid in the UK. The internet has allowed us. You don't have to stick to, oh, I'm in London, so I can only serve people in my area. No, the internet now, the world is your market.
yeah. And the good thing as well, you don't necessarily have to be the best person in your field to be making money neither. Because
No,
if you look at them contestant shows where people come second, third, fourth, they're still getting paid because the person that's first might be too busy to help out the other people, or they might be outside their budget. So you can do it, and you
yeah,
don't need to be the richest person. You just need to be comfortable, realistically, and get to
yeah,
that point where you understand what is enough for you and yours.
And that's the thing. The problem is we compare ourselves too much,
Yeah,
and that's what consumerism does. That's the
yeah.
system, and that's, I think, people don't understand that's the cheat code. Is that the system is designed, especially in the UK where we don't manufacture. Look, when we had the lockdown, what did they do? They said, look, you can go out and eat for free or for discount or whatever. Do you understand?
There's a deadly virus out there, but you can go out and eat.
Yeah, exactly. But you can go out and eat because what they're trying to do? They're trying to get you to eat out because what? Because that's making you spend money. They understand that's the only way to get the economy started is making you spend money. What's happened now? Everyone's worked from home. They're saying, "Oh, people are not using TFL. We'll have to raise it." Oh, people are not coming in. We need to get everyone back in the office because the local shops and supermarkets and all of this stuff are struggling because the office workers are not around. It's complete madness. Like, so when we understand that, then you understand when you go on social media why they always show you and portray this image of your value comes from the things that you buy, the places that you go, the company you keep. That's the value. But the reality is that you are already valuable and you have to find what's important to you and run a race for yourself. And for me, my family and I would hate for the world to love me, but my kids and wife to look at me as a disgrace.
100%. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't have that. I think we care more about what people think outside than we do those that we're most closest to. And I think that's something that we have to change. Our value and our importance doesn't come by how many likes, how many followers, whether we're going to Dubai, everyone's going to Afro Nation now. It's like, if you're not there, you're not really living. It's a lie. I'm living and enjoying without being there. Do you know what I mean? And more time, I'll watch the clips. I'll watch hashtag Afro Nation on Instagram. I feel like I was there anyway and watch all you lot's videos and get secondhand enjoyment for free. So it's about us. When you really understand your value and your worth, then all of a sudden this money game is completely different.
I think that's definitely it. I think too many people think money is the ultimate currency when in actual fact that is further from the truth. There's so much more enriching life. Like, you don't have to be a parent to experience the many highs of life that it has to offer you. But I think once you can understand that the materialism things that you're attaching yourself to or what you're seeing as perfect, because let's be honest, we both create content and we know how much work can go into creating said content, and what we're doing, getting their attention for like 15 seconds. But some people out here spending bags on multiple things to try and get your attention for 15 seconds and not even benefit them. So that's like a poor return on investment at that point. But they will do it and make you feel like, oh, you're some sort of way or you're below standards because you're not achieving what they've got. And it's like, do you know what? Just knowing that I can not have anything and still make my family laugh and smile and be comforted, that works for me. Or just knowing I don't need to have the latest bit of tech in my pocket to be happy. That gives me a peace that having those items can't do, because why am I going to get a £1,100 phone and have a 3-year contract like that? That's not peaceful to me. That's stressful.
Yeah, yeah,
But, I guess we all learn at different stages. And that's why the things that you do and other people out there are in the same financial field are doing great work. I know I'm very passionate about finance. I try not to talk about it too much on my podcast because there's so many more things we can talk about. But obviously with you and other people that are like-minded, I'm going to talk about finance because 16 years is a long time in my life to know for it to be there. And I just like helping people out. And this is what the podcast's about. Just letting people know that there's certain things we go through. And some people are willing to brag about the W's they've got in life. Go, yo, I got this, I got that, rare, 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 rare. But don't actually want to or ever want to share the L's they've copped and what they got from it. Because the L's
yeah,
is looking like a bit of shame. And it's like, yo, wear that like a badge of honor. Because sometimes you need to go through some stuff to get the
yeah.
results you get. So let's jump into the first L that you said that you wanted to discuss. Now, remember, folks, I don't know anything more than what you're going to hear right now in terms of what the L is. So we're going to learn together. So the first L is having to retrain at work. So please set the scene. What happened? Where was you working? And what was this retraining about?
Yeah, so I was at Barclays. So I always tell people like I I got the job as financial advisor. I had been at Barclays part time while I was doing my degree. When I finished my degree, age 22, um, Barclays made me a financial advisor. So youngest financial advisor in Barclays in the country, and just kept on working, doing well. I worked locally, I was working in near Bromley. That was the area I was working in, and then I moved back to the city where I originally worked when I was a cashier, and was dealing with high net worth clients and so forth, and doing really, really well. I'm very good. I'm a people person. I get on with people, so it never really feels like a sale. I just help people, and get the deal done. Um, but basically, Barclays were upgrading branches. The branch I was getting in was going to be one of the brand new big branches that they were creating, and it's going well. Top, we have like leaderboards as financial advisors, top of the leaderboard, doing well. But I got relaxed. There's a point where you're so good at what you do. You sometimes, especially when you're young, you get relaxed. And so, as a financial advisor, there was a certain, before you start a meeting, or during the meeting, you're meant to go through a certain document to let people know that you're regulated and all of this stuff. And if they want to cancel or if they want to make a complaint, here's all the information. So basically, the line manager I had was a bit of a hater, and so sent a mystery shop, so a pretend customer. And the customer went through, gave me great feedback. But the thing that I was supposed to go through, I just gave it to him and said, "Oh, you can read more information in this document." I didn't go through the document because I wasn't even selling anything anyway. I was just giving them a general, what your options are, what you can do, how I can help you, and stuff like that. And so because of that, I got called into a room. I had to go back to do retraining. So imagine I've been qualified for years, top, and they were like, "Oh, you messed this up. You're supposed to do this. You didn't do it." So I had to go back and retrain with all the new starters, people that are brand new, and go through that whole, like, it's like a 6-week course that I had to go on, like I was starting brand new, to retrain, do role plays, like where people pretend customers, even though I've been in front of customers for years, but I had to do it all over again. And it was just a lesson that I learned, that actually you can't get comfortable. Like, do you know what I mean? I used to complete that document inside out and go through it. Do you know what I mean? When I first started, because I knew it was something to do. But as I got more confident, I got more comfortable, I started to let the standard slip, because I felt I could get away with it. And it was a big lesson for me that never let your standard slip. Like, as you get better, as you get more confident, only get better and improve on everything. Don't allow yourself to do yourself a disservice. Do you know what I mean? And also understand that the people around you may smile with you, may laugh with you, may act, do you know what I mean? But they haven't always got your best interests at heart. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, my line manager's worried about himself. He's not worrying about me. At the end of the day, if he felt there was a problem, he could have come to me and said, "Oh, I hope you're doing this document. Everyone has to do it. Make sure." Do you know what I mean? But man just set man up. Do you know what I mean? Which is fine, because I can't be angry at him, because I have to say I allowed somebody to do that to me. That's my bad. Do you understand? So yeah, it's just that was like one of the first L's I took, and I learned a lot from it.
And how did you feel at that point? Because obviously, like, I'm assuming here, correct me if I'm wrong. So for my days when I was in financial advisor, that was like the decoration to go through in
Yeah,
terms of, if you want to report, you got to get to the financial ombudsman services within this time scale, and obviously GDPR. You probably weren't GDPR at the time, but
yeah, it's just data protection. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and just general fluff. Effective, that's what it was. It was fluff. Especially if you're not making a sell, then you kind of feel like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But did you feel some sort of way towards your line manager at the time, or was it like, oh, okay, that's definitely on me? Because right now you sound quite eloquent and saying, "Yo, I learned stuff. I can't get lax." But was you feeling that same way in your younger way?
At the time, I was like 24. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not at that time. I'm definitely blaming my line manager, and I'm looking external. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of wisdom comes as you get older in life. Do you know what I mean? But I did learn, definitely, like, okay, cool, Eman, like, don't slip, like, do your thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, do it properly. Like, because at that time I thought, well, I could lose my job. Do you know what I mean? If I would have got sacked, when I would have gone to apply for another place, they would have said, "Why'd you get sacked?" "Oh, he doesn't follow the regulation." Now all of a sudden I'm blackballed. I can't do my, all because of one little thing. And I was like, man, like, don't get, you're not like them. Like, no disrespect, but man's not going to the pub with these guys. I'm not drinking. I don't play golf. I'm trying to get into that now. But at that time I was like, what's golf? Like, man plays basketball, man kicks five aside with my brethren. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of cultural differences. And then man's the only black man here in my team, one of the only in my area. Like, do you understand? It's only if when you go nationally, like, then you start to bump into others. So like, there's a certain standard that I should have set for myself, knowing that I'm different already in this environment. But sometimes we get relaxed and feel like, oh, these men are relaxed. So you can no, everyone's different. Like, you got to know where you are. And so I learned that quickly.
When that happened to you, I'm assuming. Okay, let me back it up. I'll tell you a bit of story. I used to work for Alliance and Leicester. I ended up finishing like top 1% in my company. I had so many people come after me thinking, oh, I'm mis-selling, I'm doing that. How do you remember everything?
Exactly.
Because I'm telling them the truth. Because if I tell them the truth, then I don't have to lie. I don't have to worry about how I came to that conclusion. It's because that was the best thing for them based on what they wanted. And then when it goes, why isn't this the best one for me? I don't know. Let's look at it. Well, you did it then. This product was the best one at the time. Now we're the next year right later or whatever. This is better for you. Do you want to review it? Let's review it. But you had to be careful. And it's quite weird because I've had a similar situation with a mystery shopper. And you do have to be very careful. As eloquent as you can be, as amazing you can be, if you are not like them in the first instance, they're going to look at you differently anyway and start to say, what makes you different to everyone else?
Exactly.
And in my younger days, I guess I was a little bit more fiery. As I get older, I think you just learn to pick your battles and just be mindful of what you can control rather than what other people can do. You just know that everyone else has the capability to be a bit of an
Exactly.
arse. And then
Exactly.
you just got to say, I'm not saying that you are an arse. I'm just saying you have the potential to be an arse and do something that just doesn't need to be done. Do you think if your line manager had called you aside and said, yo, E, come here for a second, just want to make sure, can I come and do an observation on you? Or, you need to go through this document, regardless if it's just an inquiry or if it's a sale. Would you
Yeah.
have taken that on board and run with it properly? Or do you think you would have had to have gone through the whole mystery shop, get the fantastic feedback that you're used to, and then get kind of slapped with the whole, yeah, you did this amazingly well. However, this is problem because it's not only going to be you that's impacted, it's going to be the line manager, it's going to be the business, it's going to be the whole shebang.
Yeah. So, like, when I look back now, I still feel like I had to go through it. I feel like even if I had, because your manager would come every now and again and do observation, and I would show them what they need to see. I'll go through the document and and do everything compliantly. Do you know what I mean? It's just when I was on my own, I'd be relaxed, and so for me, I feel like, because sometimes, again, because I don't really understand the importance of this stuff because I'm so young. I'm not really grasping how important these things actually are. I'm thinking, wow, every time I go for it, these are falling asleep. They're not even really listening to me. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to do this in a very interesting way. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm thinking, well, they can just read it in their own time. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I feel like, again, sometimes in life you have to go through things. Like, I had to go through that for me to really understand the importance of regulation, the importance of actually what it is to be a regulated financial. That's why sometimes, like, I'll get a bit annoyed when I see people calling themselves financial advisor or financial this, and I'm like, bro, if you know what it is to actually be regulated, to actually know that when you speak with the power of regulation, and you can be called up, and if you say the wrong thing, the FCA could be in your back, and people that haven't done the exams, haven't got that power yet, try to put you in the same category. It can be annoying because going through that, I really understood what it is to be regulated and the power of regulation, and the importance of making sure that you do things compliantly. Um, so yeah, no, I feel like I had to go through that, and I'm glad that I went through that young. I didn't have no kids, no family. No, I was living at home. If the worst happened, I would have just rebuilt myself and gone again. But I learned it at a young, so that I didn't have to go through that when I was older.
Yeah, I get that. And for anyone that's not unaware what FCA is, it's a Financial Conduct Authority. They're the ones that kind of help police us because it was FSA, yeah,
FSA,
FSA,
yeah,
but they kind of fell short, and that's when the 2008 boom happened. Raw, I'm going old school with this information, aren't I?
yeah.
And then obviously they got disbanded and formed the FCA, and I forgot the other one naming now. But yeah, it is interesting that you've gone through stuff like that and had to do it. Did your parents ever find out about this?
Parents, nah, they never found out about none of this. Now,
How would they have reacted if they had heard what had happened? Because I'm going to assume here that they were super proud of you when you passed and you done your exams. Like it would have been CFA at the time or something like that at the time. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, my baby, he's doing this." It's like, "Yeah, yeah." Next few days, it's sort of like, "You did what now?" Or "You didn't do what now?"
yeah, I think yeah, they're very. I feel like for me, it's a different generation, or like because if I went on that mentality of or what they would say, well, I'd never been a financial advisor in the first place. I would have just played it safe and gone for a standard job and tried to. So for me, sometimes you have to understand that the same thing that got me in the room is the same thing that the same energy and the same mindset and the same me being that person that got me the job in the first place was the same reason I ended up getting caught out. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to understand that, okay, cool. Because if I thought like my mum or like my dad and so forth, I probably would have just gone for like an accountancy job because my dad's an accountant, and that's what he wanted me to do and become, and just sat there and probably wouldn't have enjoyed what I was, because that's not me. Do you know what I mean? So yes, they would have been disappointed, and yes, they would have said, oh, you should play by the rules, and you can't do this because you're black, and when you're black, you have to do everything 10 times harder, and they would have gave that speech that man heard my whole life. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it was like, okay, cool, I get it. I made a mistake, and so forth. But at the same time, yeah, I'm just gonna make sure that no one can't do that to me again.
That's fair enough. So let's say going back in time, you're now wiser. What are you gonna say to your younger self when you was at the peak of the top point where you was vexed? Like whether you're vexed for yourself, the situation, whatever it is,
Yeah.
what are you gonna say to yourself just to sort of help you hit that turning point where you realize, okay, cool, this has happened. Now I have to do this. Like, what are you gonna say to yourself to help convince yourself to understand you need to do this?
No, you know what? I would say that going through the training experience again was the humbling of everything, because you can get so arrogant and so caught up in yourself, and you're making these bonuses and driving a company car, and everyone's telling you how well you've done because you come from the hood and you're doing real well and stuff like that. So going through that experience of being retrained and being there with junior people that are just coming fresh into the industry, and actually, you know what? One of the things I met one of my good friends to I'm friends today doing that training course again, um, and like that was the experience. Like, okay, cool, Eman, you shouldn't be here, but you're here because of a mistake that you made. So you just remember that you allowed this to happen, and so that was the humbling experience. If I could go back and tell myself, I feel like I was a very much angry at the manager for setting me up, and then I was like, I'm angry at him, but I've allowed him to do this to me. But the reality was, I just allowed it to. I should never have been angry at him. He is a manager protecting himself. If he thinks one of his people is not doing the job correctly, and he sends a mystery shopper and finds out that I wasn't doing the job 100% correctly, then he's doing what he has to do to protect himself. Because if it comes out that there's a string of clients complaining that I never went through that document, they're gonna look to him like, what did you do about it? How come you never found out about it? Do you know what I mean? And so forth. So he's protecting himself. Now, some managers will just put you to the side and be like, look, I don't think you're doing this. Or I've heard in the team that there are guys that are not doing this. You have to do this document. If you don't do this, if I find out that you're not doing it, like there's going to be big repercussions. Some people would have just done that. Do you know what I mean? But he wasn't one of those managers. But at the same time, there's different management styles, and you learn that it wasn't personal. I think one of the things I had to learn, especially in this finance industry, is that it's not personal. It's business. Man will hire you today, tell you how great you are, 3 months down the line, the business is struggling and they're making you redundant. It's not personal. That is just the way. It's just business. Do you know what I mean? And so when you start to realize that, you start to say, like what you were saying is, I start to realize actually I need to get control of my life and get things in my hands, because I'm giving them too much power to allow them to make business decisions on my life. because although it's not personal between us, it's personal for my wife and my kids. It's personal to my family. Do you know what I mean? Because the repercussions of this are personal to us, even though your decision is not personal to me. And so that's when I started to think about, okay, self-employment, other streams of income, and getting out of the kind of employment rat race.
Did you deal with it in an unhealthy way? Because I'm thinking, because I've had to go on a retraining session at work when I had an extended period of time off of it, and it is humbling, to put it mildly. And- but I would like to think I dealt with it in a good way. I thinking back now, actually, I know I didn't deal with it 100% well. But do you think you dealt with it in a healthy way or in an unhealthy
Yeah.
way?
No, I dealt it in a healthy way. I did the course, come back, went back straight to number one again, in everybody's face. And then when I done that, then I left and got double my salary. I left Barclays and went to Halifax and doubled my salary. So yeah, it's one of those things where actually it worked out for me. So yeah, it was one of those things I had to go through, learn from it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me just show you what I do. Come back, showed you what I did, because I was up on them leaderboards. Halifax came, said, "Look, come and get this." Because one of the things I realized as well is that because I started as a cashier, I was on quite a low salary at Barclays compared to a lot of my peers. But obviously, that meant I could reach bonus quicker, which kind of made up for it. But then I went to Halifax and just doubled my salary because they're like, "Well, you're doing this production, you can come and make it over here." And then sometimes it actually benefits you to move. But I would have never thought about moving because it was personal, because I had been at Barclays for so long. But after that, I realized, no, this is business. So I got to do what's best for me because you're going to do what's best for you. And so again, this is why I needed that to happen, because I feel like I would have stayed at Barclays for long because they gave me the opportunity and the chance and all that personal stuff. But actually, this is business. Do you know what I mean? And so sometimes you just need things to happen so you can see the world for what it is.
Nah, facts. So some people brand it as an L. What are you going to brand this one as?
I never say L. I always say a W, man. Even if it's an L, I learn. Do you know what I mean? And that learning becomes a W. So you know what I mean. I never take L's. You know what I mean? I just learn. I either win or I learn.
Nah, I like that. I like that. All right, much appreciated for that. So let's go on to your second L. So being made redundant 3 times. Yo,
Mm.
that song "Free is a Magic Number" comes to mind at that point. How is it you got made redundant 3 times?
Oh, so yeah, so it's just a madness. So obviously, I left Barclays, went to Halifax. Then RDR happened and everything that happened. So then Halifax weren't paying for the exams that we needed to get to level 4. So then I went to NatWest. Um, went to NatWest, and then the banks pulled out of the market. So that's the first time I got made redundant. Then I went to SJP. I should never have gone to SJP. I should have found an employed role. Because I didn't have enough clients to really survive in that environment. Even though they tell you they're going to give you clients, they didn't give me anything. So went there. That didn't work, so I got let go from that. And then I found an employed role. No, so then after that, so I got let go from SJP. Then I found an employed role in the city. Got in there, loved it. They realized that they hired too many advisors for the production. So obviously, first in, first out. I mean, first last in, first out. So then I got made redundant. So that was the second time. So I got made redundant, let go, then made redundant, and then I went to a third company, um, again, where they hired all these advisors, had all these clients, and then realized that a lot of these clients weren't actually active and couldn't make it work, and so they needed less. They wanted to basically cut the areas and put advisors in, and then realized, let's make the areas bigger and have one advisor cover bigger patches. And so again, last in, first out. So got made redundant again for the third time. The only problem with the third time was that I just had my fourth child. So I literally had my fourth child, went on paternity leave for 2 weeks, came back, and the week I came back, they let me go.
Out. All right. Wow. Well, before we continue, let me just back up a bit. So, for those people that don't know, RDR is the exam qualification you need to achieve after a certain period in time, because they got rid of the old exams, which was CFA. I can't remember what it was called, a certification in financial advisory or something like that.
Yeah,
And you think you have to do like maybe 3 modules of that, which the exam itself is not cheap. The tests are not easy, but you got to do. RDR came along and it had to go up to diploma level, if I'm
yeah,
correct.
exactly.
And again, it wasn't cheap. And because life happens, inflation was added to it. So it wasn't like the £1,000+ it was before. It was a little bit more. Some companies would back it and some wouldn't. I know NatWest was one of the company, or RBS was one of the companies that pulled all their financial advisors. And financial advisors normally get paid quite a decent salary because it's a specialist role, and the amount of money they can generate for the business is part of the reason why, if they're going to let people go, they kind of look at those big hitters and think, can we get them to work harder for the money they're on? But yeah, I just thought I'd clear that up for any listeners that were unfamiliar with those terms. And you said that you work for SJP, which
Yeah,
is St. James's Place.
yeah,
I know a lot about finances. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. But yeah, that's, again, this is off the top of my head. I'm not no prep work done. Um, that is a lot. I think a lot of people at that point would have kind of gone a bit stir crazy. So I want to ask you the question now. You said the last one was shortly after the birth of your fourth child.
yeah.
So am I right in saying that you was getting made redundant and let go on and off during various pregnancies or births
Yep,
of your
yeah,
children?
children, yeah, 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 definitely, definitely, and what you have to understand is a lot of the time is, and I'm just going to be quite blunt with it, especially in financial services, they almost feel like you should feel lucky that they hired you because they're giving you this prestigious role and you're black. Do you know what I mean? So the second they need to let someone go, you're gonna be on the list, even if you're doing the bits, even if you're gonna be, because they're like, right, we're gonna let someone go. You do know we got this black guy here. Do you know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where you go into these environments because the owner of the company is white and most of the clients are white, and a lot of the time people have their own stereotype and ignorantly believe that because you're black you might not be able to relate to white clients as much as a white person would, which is a very stupid notion. And so because of that they feel that, well, this is my firm, I've built this is my baby, and so actually I want someone that looks like me or talks like me, and it's nepotism. That's what happens a lot of the time, where people are feeling that they want to help people that look like them or come from a background that's similar to them. And so what happens is that when it's time to let go, you're naturally the first. Like you said, NatWest, they let us all go, so that's different. But the other two firms, they were smaller, independent firms, and we know what happens. Do you know what I mean? And so even now, those firms still like to tell people, "Oh yeah, Eman used to work here. I'm their claim to fame because now I'm on TV doing well." But actually,
But they let you go.
and this is the point I always like to tell people is that you see those redundancies, they were just redirection.
Yeah.
They were I needed that because today I live the best life I could possibly. And if I would have carried on, right now I would just be a great employee to someone. Whereas today I stand as a pillar in my community where I get probably, I'd say, about 3 or 4 calls a week or messages where I end up having calls with young people like, I want to be a financial advisor, because they see me and they're like, this is something I see, someone that I can relate to. I see someone that I look up to, someone I respect doing this role. Now I know it's available to me. And guess what? If we have more financial advisors in our community, then now we don't need to wait for a bank to give us information. We know someone that we can call because it's
Yep.
in our community already. And so for me, I feel there are a lot of there are black financial advisors out there, but a lot of them are in firms, hidden,
Yeah.
getting great salaries, looking after clients, doing, but nobody knows. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it's like I get to be a beacon of light. Like, okay, cool. Here's a whole industry, and this is available to you. You can come from a council estate and give financial advice to million. I get millionaires that pay me to tell them what to do with their money, and I grew up on a council estate. Do you know what I mean? From immigrant parents. That's what we stand for now. And so for me, yeah, it was painful at the time, and for me, it was painful, especially the last one, because it was so unexpected. Like wasn't expecting it at all, but I needed it to give me the push to be where I am today.
That is, I really like that. I like the fact that, you know, the things that you're doing. It's like, let's be fair, you're a grown man,
Yeah,
and you are relatable to various generation of people. I think one thing I underestimated, and I'll be candid about it, there were times when I first came across you and I didn't buy into what you was about, because I'd seen you on the TV and I was like, cool, that's kind of what I expect, like Trevor McDonald sort of vibe in terms of how you present. Because when you're in those spaces, you kind of got to do that.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
be
of
honest,
course,
right? But then when I'm hearing you drop in how you're talking, it was like, yeah, that sounds like you're kind of going down a, like you're limiting yourself. But then it was like, no, you're not. You're just making it accessible to a different demographic of people. And it doesn't have to be one group of people that look a certain way. It's the people that understand that lingo, understand that speech pattern. It was like,
exactly.
that's what I'm missing. And I don't, obviously I don't really share much about myself in here anyway. I really should do it. It's my podcast. But I was raised to sort of want to work in the city, you know, be up there, because my mum came from Jamaica and, you know, she worked up there with white folks and try and do that stuff. So I've always sort of chased that to sort of be that standard. And I would never allow myself to talk slang around my clients or anything like that, because I always felt like that would be bringing me down, and I felt a bit ashamed. And one of my actual heroes is Ian Wright, and that's because Ian Wright is a big man who's got millions of pounds, but still rocks that same gold tooth he probably had back in the 80s. He could afford to take that out his mouth and do whatever he wants with it, but he doesn't, and he just commands respect in every room he's in. Yet he speaks like he speaks. He is the way he is, and he's unapologetic about it. And the way you are is very similar. And I think if you wasn't allowing yourself to be that way, these young ones that are coming up, or even the older ones that might be inspired to think, yo, let me pivot and change and do something different, you are giving them the motivation, the inspiration to feel like, you know what? I can be authentically myself, but it doesn't mean to be authentically myself, I must only be one way. You can switch it up depending on your audience, and it's still you, because you're still getting calls, even though you talk the way you talk on your socials, and you're still presenting to big clients with big money and doing it on like Channel 4, BBC, and them ones. And they've seen your content, but it's like they still trust you enough to be able to communicate the way you need to communicate to their audience. And I think I like the way that you're grateful, you like the fact that you've gone through those to be where you are, because even I obviously, the podcast for me in a way is kind of like getting my kids to hear positive stories without me actually having to tell them. But your kids are going to learn not from what you're saying, but from what you're doing and for how you've inspired other people. And that's something that your job very unlikely is going to allow you to do, because you're, like you said, you're probably tucked away somewhere, you're doing whatever you got to do, getting a good salary, but what impact are you really making other than lining your company's pockets? And if a
Exactly.
company's going to pay you big money, if a company's going to pay you six figures, let's say, how much money are you making, and realistically?
No, definitely, definitely. And saying that, like I grew up in Tower Hamlets. I was born in Whitechapel, so I'm from Tower Hamlets. Like I'm from Tower Hamlets. So when I got a job and I got into Canary Wharf, I'm like, I'm from here. Why did I get to Canary Wharf and feel like I don't belong? I'm like, how can I not belong? I'm born in this. I'm born in Tower Hamlets. Canary Wharf is in Tower Hamlets. Like my council estate is E14. Canary Wharf's postcode is E14. So you can't. How am I in my own postcode? Let's take it that deep. I'm in my own postcode, and I'm the one made to feel like I don't belong. I don't talk in a certain way. I'm the one that start. I used to call it my made in Chelsea voice, where I used to start talking all professional and ha 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 and all of this type of stuff and so forth, in order to make other people feel comfortable. And then I was just like, I can't. This ain't me. I can't live my life like not like stop being myself for this period of time while I'm here, and then go back to being me afterwards, and then almost feel embarrassed. Like there was a point where you're so around it that you now come around to the hood and you feel like, oh right, you men are ghetto. Like no, you men are just how we are. That's what I grew up in, and why should I be embarrassed to come? I ain't embarrassed to come. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of my upbringing. I'm proud of the people that surround me, because these are the people that really love, man, when I had nothing. Like, you only love me now because I wear the same suit as you and we're in the same company and you know how much money we make and da-da-da-da. That's why, you know what I mean? That's why you're even giving me any time of day. Like, these people loved me when I had nothing and will still love me even if I lose all of this. And so for me, it was a case of being my authentic self. And the best thing about it now is that when I go on shows, they want me to. I was on Sky News, literally on Sky News, and they had a lovely lady, and we were talking about the cost of living crisis and everything going up, and she was shouting all these stats and everything like that, and she's fantastic at what she does, and I was on there and I was literally talking like this. And when I finished, my dad was like, "Oh yeah, but you got to, the other lady, she was throwing so much stuff." And I'm like, "I get it. That's what you like. That's what you appreciate." But when Sky do the reviews, because they do, like, they contact people afterwards to find out how did you find it, what were your thoughts. They're like, "That guy's so relatable. That guy's so relatable," and that's why they call me back, because actually finance has been something that only people who are of a certain education or from a certain class or a certain background have ever been bothered to be interested in. And then here I come, making finance normal, making it fun, making it funny, making it entertaining. And all of a sudden, normal people are like, "No, I want to hear what this guy's got to say. No, I can relate to this guy. I like this guy's story. I can believe what he has to say. I'm not going to tune out. I'm not going to change the channel. I'm engaged." And so that's why now we're seeing more and more TV shows approaching me and more things coming. And I get to be me. And like you said, you tell the truth, because wherever you go, you say the same thing. You know it's the truth. And then guess what? When I'm being my authentic self, I don't have to remember, "Oh, what did I say when I was on the other show? What did I?"
Yeah,
I'm just being myself.
this is my life. This is my story.
Exactly. And that way I don't have to make up a lie or make up a fake story like I did when I first started. I used to make up so much stories when I first started to make everyone else feel comfortable. And actually now I just myself.
Do you think that's something that you gain through just life experience?
Yes. Life experience, because I feel like when I first started, remember I started at 22, so I'm doing a big job, like, a financial advisor, big, well respected. The average age of a financial advisor when I started was 50. Now it's probably 55, 50, 57, 58. So it's a big man job, and when I say man, it's mainly men that do financial advice. So we hope this, more women are coming in, we thank God. But it's a man, at that time was a man's job, a white man's job, and an old white man's job. And I'm coming in 22 from the hood, black. I had so many things against me, and it was like I thought, well, I've got to become a chameleon. I've got to copy what they do, and be more like them, and so forth. And actually, as time went on, I realized the more and this is I told this story. I was with a client, and I had my posh accent on. He had his posh accent on, and then I just dropped it. I got comfortable. I just dropped it. I just like, yeah, did it, and we just started talking, and he was laughing, and we are cracking up. All of a sudden, did I not just hear one Liverpool accent come out of this brother's mouth? And I was like, "What accent is this?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know what? I normally put on a voice, but I felt so comfortable with you." And guess what? He wanted to sign up that day, and I was like, "No, we don't do that. I've got to go and do a report and come back." But the fact that he bought into me and I made him feel comfortable made him want to sign up. And I was like, "Actually, excellent. This is what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just going to be me. In every room I walk in, I'm going to be me. And if you don't like it, excellent. Go and find someone else." But guess what? 9 times out of 10, people bought into me. Even, old ladies. Now, obviously, I'm not going to use slang around the old lady. That's just crazy. You're not going to understand what I'm saying. But I'm still going to be relate. I'm still going to keep it as easy as possible.
Charming,
I'm going to
you.
be charming and be me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to think I have to be like someone else. And when I tell you how much clients bought into me, even when I didn't know the answer to questions, they were like, I'd be like, "No, I'm going to go and find out." And they trust me, because actually sometimes it's your energy.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's great to have experience, but if you know that you don't have the experience, I can't tell people. Everyone can see I'm 22. I can't fake that I'm older and I've got experience. Everyone knows I'm 22. So all that. But what I can do is show them the energy and let them know that I'm all about them and I'm going to give them the best service possible. And I'm in tune with them. And the reason they should invest with me and let me be their financial advisor is because I'm not going to take them for granted. I'm brand new. You're the most important client I have because you're the only client I have right now. Do you know what I mean? And so when you start to talk to clients like that and make them feel their worth and feel value and have that connection with them, and maybe rather than just see them once a year, say, well, normal advisor only see you once a year. I'm gonna see you twice a year. And in fact, for the big clients, I'm gonna see you every quarter or at least have a phone call. All of a sudden, you're offering a service that people can buy into. And that's one of the things where I feel like when I started, there were so many things that people said, oh, you're going to struggle doing this or struggle being there. But I forget that sometimes you have to just forget what other people are projecting their own fears, their own insecurities, and they're trying to put it on you. And you have to be in a position where you say, I'm not going to accept that. I'm gonna give, because one thing I've realized in this life is that there's two types of people: good people and bad people. You see, everything else, black, white, female, transgender, all of that is just extra added sauce. Do you understand? The reality is there's good people and there's bad people. And I'm a good person. And if I meet another good person, 9 times out of 10, we're going to get on. Do you know what I mean? And so all my job is to do is to make sure that I'm in rooms with good people. And as long as I'm in good rooms with good people, good things happen. So for me, I don't care about no one's title. I don't care what no one's been through. I don't care if you're rich, you're poor, you're this, you're that. Are you a good person or are you a bad person? If you're a good person, let's do business. Do you know what I mean? And when I started to realize that life could be that simple, that simple. Forget all because social media will add tags. You're verified, you've got X amount of followers, or you get this many likes, or you're an influencer. When you take all of that away and just focus on people are people and they are good and bad, when you just focus on that, trust me, the world is so much simpler. There's so many less barriers to entry, and I live my life so much more freer because I don't feel like I don't belong in this space. Of course I belong in this space. Am I a good person? Are you a good person? Then of course we should be speaking. There's no issue. Do you know what I mean? And so that's how I look at life now.
I think that's really encouraging because I guess in a way, and I feel back, I keep harping about our podcast, but this is a passion project for me. I love off my podcast. And we've been brewing for a couple of years. And it's the fact that too many people feel that only they are going through certain situation and that their life's crumbling. It's like, in the nicest possible way, we're all beautifully broken. We're only holding ourselves together by duct tape, by glue, by no more nails, or by chewing gum, but whatever we can grab that'll just hold us together to get us through that day, to get us through that week, whatever. And I just want other people to get the hope to understand it, because when I started with Enlightened System when I was 22, but I started off a cashier at that time. Um, and it eventually got to the point where I understood the people I was dealing with, because I worked up in Grace Church Street, and I had to understand that them people that are wearing suits and boots and stuff like that, come weekend, they're wearing jeans like I'm wearing jeans. So as soon as I had that understanding, it was like, I can talk to these people. I left banking, going on 2 years in October. I still got some of my clients that still talk to me now. When I had my twins, they sent over a check for them. And it's sort of like, I said, do you know what? I don't need anything from you. I said, our relationship is enough. But they love off me that much that they want to bless my children. And it's a matter of, I'm not doing anything to gain anything. I do it because, you know what? For all my, and this sounds superstitious if you want to call it that, I don't care. But I lost a lot of family members, and I want them, wherever they are that are watching me, to know that I'm making them proud. And that if I am going to pass away anytime in the near future, I can say I did the best I could. I live full, I die empty. I'm not holding back. I ain't trying to give people flowers on their gravestone. I'm trying to give them their flowers now. And with this podcast, it's just letting people know, like, there's probably things that you've disclosed that many other people have followed you but never knew. But it hopefully gives them hope and insight to say, yo, I thought you was always up there in the upper echelons. I didn't know you came from the
Mm.
ground up. And it's like, yo, I'm Drake. I started at the bottom, and now here I
I
am.
hear it,
Like,
yeah.
I'm doing that. And so many other people have shared their stories. And I just want people to understand that we're all going through the wars, and our wars can be unique to us, but it's not that dissimilar to other people. And we just need to appreciate that social media is a beautiful tool when used correctly, but with capitalism and everything else that's involved, it can become very toxic and very misogynistic and whatnot. And it can make you feel a certain way. Makes you, who is it? Someone said it makes perfect seem obtainable and good disappointing. I know you feel like you're not wrong there, because I look at my belly all the time and I'm like, yo, I look pregnant. I need to sort this out, because I look at Instagram and it's telling me about all these people that have got abs in them ones. It's like, what these people are like young. They got all the time in the world. I got 3 kids to look after. Who's got time to hit the gym like that?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not a priority. It's still a priority to get it
See,
done.
yeah,
But
of
it's just a matter of,
course.
why am I trying to get abs like that to then be potentially miserable, but put on a filter that make me look a certain way to then make someone else feel a certain way? And I'm trying to make someone like me who don't even like me
Yeah,
because I got more likes.
of course.
It's mad. But I really do like what you're doing, how you done it. I really want to ask this question for you, because I could talk to you a whole bunch, because we've got a lot in common. When you, and this is personal to me, but I think other people might know. When did you have your first child? What job was you at that time?
So, I had my first child at 27. I was 26. I was 26, about to turn 27. Because my son's born in May and my birthday's in May as well. Um, and I was a financial advisor. Where was I? I think I was at. Where was I at? I think I was at. Yeah, I think I was at NatWest when I had my first child.
So when you then got made redundant, then, because I know they
Yeah,
pulled all this.
yeah, Porter. Yeah,
How do you feel about that then at that time? Because that sounds like a lot.
it was a lot, but obviously at that time I was cocky. I was like, it's nothing. I'll just jump on a new. Do you know what I mean? I'll get a new job straight away. I'm so employable. I've got mad targets and stuff like that. So yeah, I wasn't. That's when I went to SJP with all the cockiness, thinking, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna just go in here, smash it, and make loads of money, and made nothing. That was the humbling. Oh Lord, that was a real humbling experience. I learned a lot though. And that's one thing I would say. Being at SJP, although I didn't make the type of money I wanted, and though it was a really hard time financially, I learned a lot, because the type of clients I was dealing with, the type of things that I was able to do, the things I was able to learn, how to go and find it for yourself. That's something that you don't learn when you're in a bank and people are walking in, and all you got to do is go into the banking hall. In fact, they used to give you a list of bonds that were maturing, and you could just call the customers and be like, "Oh, your bond's matured. Would you like a financial review?"
And it's
And
X amount of money in there, so those are the
yeah,
ones you're targeted. Yeah.
that's what your target. So it wasn't really that hard at all. Whereas when you actually have, I used to call people's reception and ask for. I'm looking for Michael Johnson. And can you put me through to Michael Johnson? And Michael Johnson would answer, "Hello." And then I'll be like, "Hi, Michael Johnson. My name's Emmanuel, you've been recommended by one of your colleagues, so I can't mention due to data protection, but they say you need a financial review. I'm calling from SJP. I'm going to be in the building on this day. Do you have 5 minutes for a chat? Okay, come in, put you in, boom." Or they say no, and then you be like, "Okay, no problem. I'll call you. I'll call again." And you're literally just phoning a name off a list. That was it. Trying to book appointments, and when you're just walking around the city, half of the appointments were cancelled because the markets did something, and you spent your day sitting in coffee shops because you ain't got an office, because you're walking around the city. Oh man, it was hard work, but it taught me so much. And now I've got my own business. I know the systems that I need to put in place. I know what I need to do. I know the importance of marketing and branding and so forth, because I've been there. So sometimes these things that you go through, and they feel so challenging, they feel so hard, they'll lead you. I had so many clients that were like, I used to do the charity thing, when they try to stop you on the street to,
Yeah.
and because they did that, they were able to excel when they got into other roles, because it's so, you realize how hard that was. So when you realize now you're in another position, you're like, what this is what I've got to do compared to all of a sudden you just blow. And sometimes we have to put ourselves in these uncomfortable positions. Imagine when you go knocking door to door, people are slamming doors in your face. Get used to that, so that you can then, when you're in that environment, you can flourish. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes it does feel bad at the time, and it feels demotivating, and that you deserve more, but actually it's preparing you for what's coming.
No, that is beautiful. And how easy was it for you to transition from being employed after numerous setbacks and whatnot, going into self-employment? Was there a fear of it? And do you think because you went through the redundancies and the letting go, this just felt like the natural evolution of Emmanuel?
Yeah, so I had that after they let me go, and I got my fourth child. I was like, you know what, I'm not going back. I literally took my little stuff off the desk. You know what I mean? Take your little belongings, and then you got your little box. Go to your car, and I was like, I'm not coming back. And I mean, I'm not coming back to employment. No one's going to employ me again as a financial advisor. And so I got my redundancy plus my savings, kept my costs low, and I knew I had about 6 to 9 months worth of like that I could go without needing to be employed. And I was like, I'm going to use that time to grow my business. And that very year, I got my first TV show.
Fantastic.
And that would never, I'm telling you, that would have never happened. I would never have done the content. I would never have done the events. I never would have been as busy as I was if I didn't get let go, get made redundant.
And what would you say then? So that's not an L. That's what for you?
The biggest win I ever had in my life. The biggest win. And you know what? And I tell people this. I literally went to a financial advice event, like, because as financial advisors, we've got to keep our knowledge and so forth. So you can either study or you can go to a conference and like listen and get like 5 hours, which is much easier than doing 5 hours of writing and tests and stuff like that. So went to this event and I bumped into some of my old colleagues, and all of them were like, "Oh yeah, we've seen you on the TV. Oh, we've seen you on the show." And it's like, it was so, in my mind, it was just like, yes. Because when I left, they they were they didn't rate me when I was leaving. They didn't feel like, oh, how could you let go of Emmanuel? All they were thinking was, yeah, we're gonna take Emmanuel's area, the clients that he's got, like that he's built up, and you know what I mean. They didn't think of it as anything. And then now they're meeting me like, oh, mate, you're doing so well. We see you all over the place. Da, 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 da. And it's like, okay, I needed that. I needed to hear that. That you guys, you can see what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And it was worthwhile.
It sounds like you, because of how productive you were and how good you were, it sounds like you reached the ceiling a lot sooner than they did because they couldn't reach those upper echelons. And then when you ducked out, they're like, yo, I'm going to claim all of it. And now they're probably still not there, but they can probably see the ceiling now because you're not blocking it no more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then obviously, because you're now out there just doing more, it's like, hang on, so my guy's doing all this. And what deductions are coming off him? Because when he makes a sell, he's getting a straight percentage of it, or he's getting a flat fee of this and stuff like that. Whereas me, I have to wait 3 months for that to come through in case of council and whatever else. And then that's out of my hand because something might happen. The company goes left rather than right, and I don't get my bonus because of X, Y, and Z. It's like
Exactly.
he's just dealing with it. And my mind tells me as well, if a person's been made redundant X amount of time or whatever, let's be honest. People used to tell you, go get a job that's for life. If a job is not openly telling you, yo, it's not you, it's me, we can't continue no more, you're an amazing individual, but, it's just,
Yep, yep,
things,
yep.
you kind
That's
of
the
feel like
speech.
the risk kind of feels like trying to stay in a relationship that is more of a situationship. Why am I trying to force something when I can go alone? Don't get me wrong, self-employment is not for everyone. But if you can go self-employed and you're like, right, it's going to teach you to be more disciplined with your finances, be more candid about what you can and cannot afford, just be proactive in terms of what you need to do to generate an income. How are these bad traits that you're getting from being self-employed when you go employed, potentially you can get, like you said, you can get a bit complacent, you can get a bit lazy, you can get comfortable. And then when that happens, you become that analogy where it talks about if you put a frog in a boiling water, it will jump out. If you put a frog in cold water and then slowly turn up the temperature, it will kill off and it won't move
Yeah,
because it doesn't know that it's being boiled alive.
yeah, exactly. And I think that it is that analogy is so great because I feel like self-employment, it's not easy, but I now get to pick my hours. I do even the type of clients. So do my client meetings. Sometimes I do my client meetings in a hoodie. Like, coming from having to wear, you couldn't even not wear a tie. Do you know what I mean? Like, you had to wear a tie, jacket. Like, you had to be smartly dressed all the time, and you
Even in
know,
those hot, dirty England weather,
even the hottest
top button done up as well.
top button done. Top button had to be done if you're a serious person. Do you know what I mean? And it's like going through all that to now be in a place where I'm the types of clients that I meet are comfortable with me being dressed however, and they still want to work and do business with me. Number one, but also they're paying me for my time.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to, the first meeting was free. Do you know what I mean? And you just go there and hope you can get them to find something that they'll then agree to second meeting, and then you sign them up in the second meeting, and then you finally get paid when everything goes through. Now people pay me just to have a meeting with me. Like, you can't meet me without paying, and it's like, it's a totally, the respect levels for what I do and my craft and how I'm able to help. And even when I have my client meetings, by the end, the way they're thanking me, you'd think they had the meeting for free.
But I guess you add value though, don't you?
Because I've been doing it for so long. I know it doesn't matter whether you're the richest person in the world or you're the brokest person. It doesn't, anywhere on that spectrum. I've been doing it for so long. I know I can help everyone. So it's one of those. It's one of those things where I know I can add value, and so yeah, I get to I just enjoy what I do. In fact, now we're taking it to the next level. So I'm now about to launch my financial advice firm. I'm partnering with someone to go back into doing it for myself. So as I have my own financial advice company, and it's like, wow, do you know what I mean? And now I'm not struggling for clients. I've got loads. I've got like over like 50,000 people, just connections just on social media, let alone being on TV and so forth. I naturally get inquiries all the time. So let alone when I start to advertise. So I've built a brand and a name for myself, and so it's just a different feeling. Like, it's been hard. The first 2-3 years, I always tell people, the first 2-3 years, I could have got a job and got paid more than what I got paid being self-employed. And now I would say I probably work 30% of the hours I used to work, and I earn probably 4 to 5 times more than what I used to earn when I was employed. And so when you now flip it, you say, well, it's worth it. But it's that consistency, it's that time, it's that effort that you put in and that dedication to the craft to actually build up. But once you get there, it's amazing. So that's why I'm always telling people, like, yes, self-employment's not for everyone, but anyone can have a side hustle. Anyone can find a way to monetize their passion. If you're passionate about something, you can find a way to monetize it and bring an additional income in, so that if another COVID happens and everybody gets laid off, or do you know what I mean? Look at the the aircraft sector. Do you know what I mean? The flights, they're all being, now they can't get staff anymore. They sacked everyone, and now everything, now we're all back to business. And I was like, no, I found new jobs. Like, literally, people have started doing their own businesses. People have found other jobs that are maybe less stressful. People have gone part time. People are now thinking, well, actually, because of COVID, what does this life mean for me? Maybe I don't want to be 9 to 5 and do I want to go back to an industry where all it takes is a virus and I'm back out on my ear again? Maybe I want to find an industry that's COVID proof, that even during COVID people still need those services. And so now, now in that industry, they now have to increase their salaries, because now you're a risk. To take that job is a risk. So you've gone from sacking everyone, thinking that you're on top, and now you're begging people to come, offering them more than what you really want to. So that's life. But for me, it's like, what does life mean to you? And I see what you're doing, and this is why I'm like, I wanted to come on the podcast, because I love to see people just being their authentic self, doing what they love, doing their passion. Forget numbers of views or whatever. It's just about, let's have a conversation, let's put it out there, let's get whoever's listening, let them listen, let them hear, and support one another. That's what we got to do. We got to support each other, and we can't wait till people are blown up and then be like, oh yeah, let's support. Like, no, let's support on the way. Do you know what I mean? And I love your energy. I love what you're doing. I love your professionalism. I love your dedication to it, and how many episodes. When I see someone with lots of episodes, I'm like, yeah, no, this is something I can buy into, because I know that I know the consistency it takes to create the content. Do you know what I mean? And I appreciate and respect that. So keep up doing what you're doing. More blessings on the increase into the family, and I know that everything is going to be more than okay.
Well, much appreciated for that, because trust me, it's hard when you're doing the social media management for it. You're doing the editing of the
Yeah.
podcast. You get the guest on. You're doing all the stuff. But what if you're not a guest on my podcast? You don't know I'm quite clever. I've got a little automated system put in place. Well, I think I was quite clever to design that. But it just means that it gives me the time to do it. I've got a bunch of people already done. But I when something's a passion, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You're either going to have regret for not doing it, or you're going to feel fulfillment from doing it, and understand that, yeah, not everyone might buy into it, but those that do buy into it are going to be your advocates. And that's what I want. But I can't stress how much I'm grateful for your time. I think you know, I've said it before. I think you're amazing at what you do. I love your energy. You know that I've given you critiques, not in a negative way, but trying to build each other up, sort of saying,
Yeah,
"Yo, this is what you're doing. Let's see if we can improve it." Because I'd rather critique someone than just leave them. Because if I leave you, trust me, you could walk in towards a cliff, and it means I don't care.
yeah,
But if I'm willing to stop and talk to you, it's because I see you potentially going in a direction you don't need to be going in,
yeah,
and I want to steer you away from it and help you get better and get to the next level.
yeah,
I gain nothing from being an ass. I don't want to be like that to people. So I want to help support people. And I just love you. I love your wife. I love the family vibes and stuff like that, because things that you do and say, even though you might be talking about finances and it might be just banter, for me, it teaches me how to be more of a husband, to be more affectionate towards my wife, to be more outwardly affectionate to my wife. Because sometimes it's easy to get lost in the day to day reality that is life and being a parent. And sometimes, like, you know what? You need to learn to gush on your wife, because trust me, if she weren't your wife, you'd gush on her still the same way. So you need to keep that same energy consistently throughout. And I just think you stepping out in faith after all the adversity that you faced and still go for it. Because trust me, I was only aiming for 2 kids, and here I am with 3.
yeah,
Yeah, I felt some type of way. But here you are with 4 children by choice or by design, and your job is just like, yeah, these jobs are not sticking right now, like. But you still didn't back down. You still kept pushing on, still had that faith, and still said, you know what, I back myself. And your wife, I'd like to believe, backed you too.
yeah. Of
Like
course.
she didn't just sort of go, "Oh, I don't think so," and you still went against her wishes. But collectively, you came together and said, "Yo, we're gonna make this work. I'll do what I need to do to support," and you made it work. And I love that. And I think more role models need to be there. I think more of us need to be transparent about our lives, because only through being transparent can we better ourselves. Because
Yeah,
if you don't know something, you're going to repeat the same mistakes other people made. Whereas someone opens up and tells you about themselves, then you can go, do you know what? I don't need to go through that to learn a lesson, because my guys has told me his lessons. I can just build off of that foundation.
exactly.
So I think that's wonderful. What I'm going to ask you to do is unapologetically and unashamedly plug yourself. Tell people what you're about, what you're doing, and how when you launch your company, you're going to make sure they read all that blurb that you read
Exactly.
all that blurb, because of the ramifications if they don't do it. So yeah, go ahead. Tell people about yourself, where to find you, what's going on, and so forth.
Yeah, so it's the Eman Effect UK on social media platforms. So that's the hashtag. That's the handle to find us. It's Emmanuel's www.emmanuelasuquo.com is the website. Team at emmanuelasuquo.com is the email address, and we're just here to help. Offer one-to-one services. So if you have financial goals that you want to achieve, if you want to be better with your money, if you want to buy a property, if you want to start investing, if you want to build your investments, if you want to start saving for your kids, anything of that nature, get in contact. If you want to get a mortgage, if you want to start, if you want to get your pensions reviewed, now that we got a financial advice firm, we can do that. So right now, anything money, anything financial, we're here. You're going to see me all over your TV screens, all over your social media. So just look out. We're here, we're growing, we're building, and I appreciate everyone's support. And yeah, this is only the beginning.
Ah, that's fantastic. And to everyone, better get in now before like the prices skyrocket, and you might never
Trust
get
me.
FaceTime with him. You just go see one of his underlings or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. That's the plan.
And the thing is, right, if when it comes to dealing with financial affairs, the reason why, and this is my personal take, when I dealt with my affluent clients, sorry, the thing that was interesting for them is the fact that money was overwhelming for them. The money they earned was good because they were doing whatever they did to make that money. The last thing they want to consider is what to do with the money. They need someone that was educated and could speak in a way that made sense to them. So it's sort of like, well, your money kind of looks like this. What do you want it to do? Well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Why diversify? Why do I want to diversify? Because some of it can be at high risk, and you can afford to lose it if it goes south. But realistically, you're not going to need it for the foreseeable. This set of money you might need for the next 2, 3, 5 years. So then put it in this type of product. It won't give you a maximum return on it, but it will give you something more than what you get if you leave it in cash. But they need someone who knows what they're talking about, can just listen, ask the right questions, and then give them an answer. And if you're looking for someone like that because you don't understand what pensions are, what the benefits are to you, because you're maybe too young and you're thinking, pension's far away. Well, the sooner you start paying into pensions, the less money you have to pay into it in order to get a decent return. But the older you get, the more money you have to pay into it in order to get that same return, potentially because you missed out on the market. And there is a phrase, it's not about the timing of the market, it's about the time in the market. So do what you got to do. Speak to Eman. He will sort you out nicely. And trust me, like, if you don't have faith in any other financial advisor, have faith in him.
Thank you, bro, man. Appreciate that, man.
Definitely do it. So to everyone, thank you very much for your time. I cannot thank you enough for our wonderful guest today. And I just hope that you've learned that every year is not a loss. There are things that we're going to go through, and sometimes they are going to look ugly and not what social media wants us to showcase. But wear that L like a badge and just see what you can gain from it, because we all go through things for a reason, and you can't stop a wave, but you can learn to surf. So do what you got to do. Follow us on social, which is Every L Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to email, it's everyelpod@gmail.com. And feel free to just get in contact. If you go onto Instagram, I'm going to start putting some exclusive content out there. So if you want to follow, feel free to. And hopefully, if I can persuade him nicely, I might be able to get his wife on. So that would be nice. I'll catch you in the next episode. Every L Podcast. Every L Podcast. Every L Podcast. Every L Podcast.